So, I guess Romney is, depending on the American, the programming that we've all received most of our lives, to think that bigger is better. Everything bigger is better, including our weight. Yeah, the old appealing to the whole mentality that we have to have bigger cars and bigger houses and bigger everything, supersize everything. And Romney, after practicing for weeks on this debate, is trying to stress this vague notion that it's bigger than just us versus them, or what does that mean? This is what I think. Because I fell into the bush. I bought into the bullshit. I was prepared to consider a Republican candidate this year, because after the crap that Bush left of this country, the state of things when President Obama had to take over, I can't imagine any president would be able to fix all that damage in 4 years. And, you know, it was kind of like common knowledge going in that any president following Bush would not be a popular one, because nobody can repair that much damage in 4 years. What I find really reprehensible is Republicans didn't hide the fact from us from the get-go that they would do everything in their power to hamstring President Obama, to make sure that he failed. That was their agenda for the last 4 years. President Obama wanted to help our country, which had just crashed to its knees, and it was a very important time for us as a nation. It was a time that we all needed to get together and pull together to get back on track, and not just our country, but the whole world economics was in chaos. And President Obama, the reason that I thought briefly about possibly voting for a Republican candidate is President Obama tried to reach across the aisle, and in my opinion, he pandered just a little too much to the Republican mentality. And a lot of his ideas that I thought were really wonderful, you know, they were modified and tweaked, and pretty quick they weren't so wonderful anymore. So, and yet that wasn't enough for the Republicans. No matter how much he pandered to them, no matter how much he tried to placate the Republicans, who had sour grapes from the beginning and never let those sour grapes go, it wasn't enough for the Republicans. They wanted him to fail. They did everything in their power to stop him at every junction. Anything that might have maybe helped our country didn't get to come to pass, or was seriously delayed. So my feeling is I was buying into the whole thing that the Republicans want all of us to buy into, that President Obama is ineffectual, and he's been given 4 years, and what has he done? Well, actually he's done a lot, but there's so much damage it's really hard to see it. But then, you know, he's in touch with the middle class. He's in touch with the average American. When Mitt Romney isn't practicing for 2 weeks and he's just talking off the cuff, you get to see glimpses. And if the camera's wavering, it's because I have a 20-pound cat bumping against my leg right now. When he isn't reciting a speech, or he hasn't been practicing and he's just talking out the cuff. You get to see glimpses of who Mitt Romney really is and what he really thinks of the average, ordinary American trying to survive in a really difficult time. My mom, according to Romney would classify my mother as one of those 47%. My mom never went on welfare, and she never needed to use food stamps. And she was a single parent, and she raised 2 kids, and we were both problem children. And she did it with a mental illness. And she did it back at a time when there wasn't support groups for single parents or widows. We managed to live in a middle class neighborhood. We had a car. We always had clothes. We always had food. You know, we were not parasites off the system. And yet, Romney has this attitude that people who do need assistance are parasites off the system or just freeloaders. I'm sorry, but if I work my whole life, first of all, I've contributed to Social Security since I was 15 years old. That's come out of my paycheck. It wasn't voluntary. I expect to get that money back when it's my turn to need it. I worked hard for that money. It was taken out of my paychecks. I had no say in the matter. When it's my turn, after I've worked and given my service to this society and this nation for my whole life, and I am no longer able to work anymore because I'm old, which, you know, the time is coming fast, or maybe I become disabled, whatever. I would certainly hope that the nation that I worked to support my whole life, to help contribute to its success, would support me. I would hope that my leaders that I have backed would want to provide a way to, I mean, what does Romney think is going to happen to people who are elderly? What? Should we put them in incinerators? Or not take care of our elderly? I think the biggest sign of an ill society is when you see a society that does not revere and take care of their elderly. His attitude toward people who have served in this country and are incapacitated or whatever as a result, who need health care. Somebody pointed out, you know, his whole attitude about, well, we have health care for the poor. It's called ER rooms and ambulances. Somebody with cancer who needs cancer treatment, which is expensive, by the way, for those millionaires out there who don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. Cancer treatment is really expensive. So is a poor person going to go to the ER to get their cancer treatment, their chemotherapy? Romney has shown in little bits and pieces along the way that he not only is completely clueless what it's like to not be a millionaire, but he doesn't care. He has contempt for people who are not millionaires. He has contempt for 47% of this country. In addition to that, this man, he's anti-human rights, and I'm sorry, that makes him anti-American. And I will go even further than that. I will say that the Republican Party, because they opposed our president, they did not work with him. They set out from the very get-go to hamstring him and make him look as ineffectual as possible so that they would get in 4 years later at a time when this country desperately needed to pull together and try to save itself. These people, I'm not saying all Republicans, but these people in high power positions that are very visible, that even bragged about wanting to stop Obama, trip him up, make him be a failure. You know what? You made our country fail. You made our nation fail. You made our recovery fail. And you failed us. And in my opinion, Republicans who have had that attitude and deliberately set out to hamstring our president are, I don't want to say traitors, but they are as un-American as it gets. And no, I will not vote for a Republican candidate. Because I see through what you tried to set up. I see through. No, I'm not blaming President Obama for not getting all the things done that he wanted to do. I'm blaming the fucking Republicans who set out to sabotage him at every turn. And no, I'm not voting for Republicans. I'm not voting for Romney. Because my rights matter, and the fact that I feel that I am an important part of the society and I deserve my due when I get old and I can't work anymore, and no, I don't want to live in a cardboard box, and no, I can't afford to go to the ER or have an ambulance when I'm old and I don't have any money. And then what happens? I don't get to pay these bills. I have horrible credit. Romney just is out of touch, and I would never vote for him, and I'm not going to vote for anybody who's Republican, because in my opinion, the reason this country is in the bad shape it's in is almost 100% because of the fucking horrible leadership we have seen on the side of the Republicans. Anyway, this went off track, but I'm on a rant this morning. I have a really bad headache. And I just needed to say some things about the stupid debate last night, and I hope people see past his practiced responses and remember what he says when he's not rehearsed, what he says that show us glimpses of who he really is, and I'm talking about Romney. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.